Hello, and welcome to Web3 Unpacked. We're excited to have Andrew Yang, founder and CEO of Cultos, join us today. Cultos helps brands supercharge rewards, loyalty, and influencer marketing through Web3, while crafting engaging new experiences for users. Welcome, everyone, and welcome Andrew Yang, CEO of Cultos. Can't wait to get the
Thank you,
conversation
Rich.
started. Yep.
Likewise. Thanks for having me on. Excited to be here.
Great.
Thanks for joining us. So, Andrew, maybe just as we get started, kind of dive into Cultos. You're focusing on rewards and loyalty. Maybe just give us a bit of your background and how you came to this company.
Yeah, absolutely. So the genesis of Cultos actually started with another company that I co-founded called Authenticity Inc. So I've been in the Web3 space for a while. Authenticity was a spin out from my time with GE Ventures, and we built a industrial supply chain product on enterprise Ethereum. And we had some great customers like GE Aviation, Lockheed Martin. It was really something that could combine the databases of a buyer and supplier together and eliminate disputes and track parts through the supply chain. Airbus was another, and Dyer, one of their suppliers, was another customer we had. And then the pandemic hit, of course, and aerospace in particular was just grinding to a halt, particularly commercial aerospace. And so we found ourselves needing to pivot. Ironically, that was the same year I became Forbes 30 under 30 for blockchain. So, good and bad.
Congrats on that. That's
one
awesome.
of the, thank
Yeah.
you. No, it was really cool to see that actually happen. But one of our investors, they had an LP that actually turned out to be one of the world's largest toy companies, MGA Entertainment. So they sell Bratz dolls, LOL Surprise, like super popular in Europe and in North America. And they were like, we know you guys have, this product that leverages blockchain. We're not so much interested in supply chains related use cases, but we have some initiatives with NFTs and social tokens. And we have these issues, engaging our customers directly. Most of our product is sold through distributors, and we really want to build, a one-to-one engagement with them. And we think social tokens, digital collectibles could be, and wallets kind of, especially because they sell to a particular very young demographic. You create a wallet for a kid, it can be something that follows them through their entire kind of life cycle as a consumer. And they had all these, kind of great ideas. And we realized we had the team, the product, at least the infrastructure, and now a great potential anchor customer to kind of get into the space. And this is 2021 when OpenSea's clearing like $10 billion a week of NFT sales. And we figured, why not? Let's do it. And, flash forward a year, we pivoted completely into Cultos, built out the product. That toy company ended up investing in us directly. We're launching a really cool project with them next year, a mobile game that's built on the Cultos platform where parents sign themselves and their kids up. They get a wallet, they buy tokens from the brand, and they create chores for the kid to do. And if the kid doesn't, they do tokens. They can buy LOL products and other brand products within the app itself using the tokens. Also, the owner of the San Antonio Spurs invested in us as well. We did a launch with them. And we have several other, retail companies about to launch with us in Q1 of next year. So, that's how we got into the space, and really excited to fulfill all the different really exciting product milestones we have coming up to bridge Web 2 into Web 3 using the Cultos product.
Yeah, and Andrew, I have a little history with Nickelodeon and Mattel, and I've developed games for them in the past. It's a lot of fun, but it's very challenging, especially when you deal with special regulations and rules around handling children's content and data and all that stuff. And we used to use the term, it's a mommy and me kind of experience, especially at that age group. After 16 or 13, I think it's a bit more loose. But how did you handle some of those situations, those workarounds, especially with coins or tokens? How did you kind of make sure that there were stop gaps for the parents and everything else like that? It's just an interesting thought because it is very challenging, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way we handle that within this app is to make sure you gather all of the key consents from the parent, and the parent is the one creating the monitored account for their children. and the wallet is assigned to the parent, not the kid. It's more like the kid spending on the parent's behalf, kind of like how kids will, especially within the Gen Alpha and Gen Z age group, will play Robux and charge their parents' credit card, kind of a similar sort of deal, right? So that's from a data collection standpoint, that's how we handled that. For the token itself, we offer two different models for brands that want to launch a reward token to either augment, bridge, or replace their loyalty points. And the model that we used for MGA is more of a stable approach where the value doesn't fluctuate. So parents, they get the MGA coin, they can bridge into Cultos coin, which is what we're launching in an IEO early next year. And that's the way for them to cash out or cash in, if you will, on their points if they want to. But the value is stable, so you don't have to worry about brand perceptions or any kind of negative feedback from the customer base if there's any sort of volatility or fluctuation. So that's the other kind of key stopgap that we put in place too.
Mm. And through the royalty, the loyalty program, where they can eventually kind of matriculate into and kind of cash out, if you will, with their earned points. Are there specific brands that are allowed in your environment? How do you determine who's in, who's out, and maybe specifically for age groups?
Yeah, for sure. So with that specific mobile game that's coming out, that's really kind of the first of many initiatives in the MGA metaverse, kind of fits into a broader strategy they have. They have kind of an equal say, if you will, in terms of which other companies join that ecosystem. There's several different affiliate partners that we're kind of just ironing out the final details with that will be listing their merchandise in the app as well. But MGA, obviously, because, this is built on their credibility and their customer base, is a strong say in who enters there. Generally speaking, in terms of the other ways we can work with customers, like, for example, we have an e-commerce product right now for Shopify, where any brand can add our widget to their Shopify site, allows them to launch a token, create campaigns for how customers are rewarded, custodian wallets for any customer that signs up, and then the off-ramp bridge to our partner Uphold that does the KYC and the actual handling of liquidation events of their tokens. It's all kind of built in there. We are going to launch at some point next year a broader exchange that will connect to all of those instances of brands that have launched with Cultos through an e-commerce widget, for example. Mm-hmm. And what that will allow their consumers to do is access this kind of broader marketplace where, unlike typically with loyalty points, if you have a token from any brand, you can use it to off-ramp into any other brand's rewards, right? You just convert one brand token into another, and then you can access, Nike rewards instead of the Walmart rewards that you originally began with. So that will be a lot more open in terms of brands that are available and listed there compared to, the enterprise deployments where depending on what their kind of vision and strategy is and kind of competitive considerations are, it'll be more selective and bespoke in terms of who's actually involved and what you can do with those tokens in that application.
Oh, that's interesting. So I guess there's two methods, right? If you enter through Cultos, right, then you're probably open, your rewards points are open to multiple brands. But if you enter through the brand, which is really cool, and you're experiencing it through that, then you're locked in, but at some point you're going to open it up. That brand will be able to say, hey, if we can share our points across multiple products or brand products.
Yeah, for sure. It's opened up in the sense you can liquidate your tokens and transfer them out. You make the functionality within that app, which is kind of the Web 2 layer that we're embedded into. If it's a mobile game built for a specific brand, functionality wise, you might not be able to convert your tokens into any other brand's token there. But as a consumer, you can just withdraw your brand token into Cultos coin, which is the off-ramp for liquidity, right? And then once it's Cultos coin, you can do whatever you want with it. It's an ERC20 token. You can withdraw it, exchange it. As a consumer, you have full freedom to do whatever you want with that.
Wow. Very good.
How's the process work? Say you're a brand and you're looking to create a token. Like what's step one? How do you begin?
Pretty straightforward. So we have, if you have, maybe it's a mobile app or a point of sale system or some custom e-commerce site, we have a API you can use to just kind of embed all the Web3 functionality we have into that. So creation of wallets, creation of a token, kind of the API calls to recognize rewards that cause your consumers' token balances to update when they did something good, all that kind of stuff. In that case, we have more of a kind of white glove approach to onboarding and helping you launch as well, and providing analytics. The more turnkey way is if you maybe have a Shopify site right now, you embed our widget. Once you install the widget, it's very straightforward. We have a templatized approach where you could create the name of your token. It launches. There's a kind of a predefined finite supply, and then you can create campaigns, and you determine what actions on your e-commerce site or what social media actions, like posts on TikTok or Instagram, you want to reward with tokens, and then you fund your campaigns, which will set an initial dollar value of your tokens from the outset, and you're good to go. And that's it. Your consumers can start landing on your e-commerce site. They can create an account. Custodian wallet is generated for them, and they can start completing campaigns, or missions as we call them, which tell them what they need to do to earn tokens, whether it's buying product, attending some in-person event, attending the actual physical store, posting on social media, whatever kind of actions the brand wants to incentivize.
I was going to ask you, how is Cultos different from other loyalty programs? But actually, we're teasing it out as we go. And it's really cool to see that you're thinking of the brands themselves, right? Obviously, any demographic who's participating within the Cultus environment, but you're setting up I like the idea of that you're giving options to the brands so that they can kind of advertise, they can market, they can run campaigns, and I think that's a big differentiator. What other items within your world do you feel really separates your platform from everyone else?
Well, speaking, immediately, I think one of the biggest things that separates us or differentiates us is the advantages that we offer to the consumer, and ultimately, that's the biggest thing, right? Because if you don't offer enough advantages to the consumer, they're not going to sign up for the loyalty program, and then it's all kind of moot. And if you look at traditional loyalty programs today, like 50% of all loyalty points in existence go completely unredeemed. It's some insane figure of like 40 million. And engagement rates are progressively lower every year, especially for the coveted demographics of Gen Z, Gen Alpha, Gen Z in particular, which is kind of starting to enter the workforce. And so what we offer is the ability to give them much stronger incentives to sign up for the program, because unlike loyalty points, you can own your rewards. You can do a lot more with them. You can off-ramp into the rewards of many other brands, or you can ultimately just liquidate them and cash them out, right? And that's something that's quite unique and leverages the technology of Web3 versus a traditional loyalty program. And the other kind of differentiator that we offer is, and this kind of comes into some of the future initiatives we have, Gen Z in particular, they're digital natives. They don't find the traditional rewards as appealing as previous generations. So, discount codes and stuff like that, for example. I mean, discounts are great, but it's doing less and less to engage them and get the member sign up rate that it would for other generations like Gen X or older generations, for example. What we aim to do is start bridging in rewards that are more attractive to that demographic, that the tokens can be redeemed on, that are complementary to Web3. So, for example, perhaps an integration with Roblox, where avatars that are created by brands that have a virtual presence there, or users that have a presence there and are incentivized by the brands to create like an LOL branded avatar or an LOL branded item, things of that nature, or some kind of a branded item from their favorite influencer or streamer. Rewards like that, digital collectibles, they can be made available. We can allow brands to have an easy way to make those available. And that really appeals to that demographic. And that's something which will be, unique in terms of what we're able to offer versus a traditional loyalty program.
Yeah, that I really like that, because a lot of loyalty programs are very kind of gated, and you can only do certain things, speaking mainly from the traditional end of things. And some of the more progressive digital and Web3 organizations or products don't really offer that freedom, that flexibility. And a lot of what we talk about is, when you're talking kind of like the metaverse, right? We always talk about what's the connected tissue, right? How do you take a product, a digital product, an avatar, or your Adidas kicks that you either won or bought with your tokens, and how do you kind of use them in different worlds? And I think what Cultos is doing is kind of allowing people to kind of stretch their legs and interact and buy and trade across the metaverse and beyond into standard Web3. But I think that's really interesting. And a lot of the folks that we talk to, as far as audience members, are in marketing. They're in advertising. They're in design. They're in technology. They're in a lot of these things. But a lot of it is, okay, how successful are these campaigns? So, I mean, with like, say, the Antonio Spurs, Bratz, LOL Surprise, like what are some of the metrics there? If you could share it, like how are they doing? How is it working for them?
Yeah, for sure. So the key metrics really are the member sign up rate, the conversion rate, as well as the this is more for some of the mobile game and the initiatives we're launching in Q1 next year. But certainly the amount of transaction fee revenue that's generated from consumers, if they find these tokens appealing in terms of what they can do with them, purchasing them, right? Much like a consumer would purchase airline miles today. That's kind of one of the key advantages of the program as a revenue generator as opposed to a cost center, particularly for a marketing department. Another key metric, going back to conversion rate, is, if you look at influencer marketing programs today, you as a brand typically pay an influencer to make a post, and then it's a black hole. You don't really know what resulted from that, right? Like how many net new customers and purchases did you get? But the beauty of what we offer in terms of how it's really just kind of underpinned by a wallet that's unique to each consumer is, if somebody, and it may not be a professional influencer, it may just be your typical consumer, posts to their network on social media, maybe it's Instagram, maybe it's TikTok, one of their followers, sees that post, goes to the brand's website, signs up for Cultos to redeem, the tokens they get for just signing up, and buy something. We know it came from that. We're able to kind of, first of all, we're able to see the data associated with that original person's social media handles when they create an account and then they make a post. And second of all, the person had a Cultos wallet and use tokens to buy the product. So we immediately know there's that, kind of closed loop and conversion. And that's something that's very difficult for brands today to be able to figure out with the way that they're doing influencer campaigns now. So that's the other kind of advantage of what we're doing, or key metric in terms of what Web3 can provide. The wallet gets associated with all kinds of first-party data that was or is more difficult for a brand to kind of aggregate together, because it's not just commerce, it's commerce online, commerce in person, social media, and eventually gaming too. And kind of new age social media like Discord, for example, which we now have integration with as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is the, I'll jump back to the Discord thing, because that is important.
Discord over here.
Yeah, we use it quite a bit. We run half our company on it. Like, it's crazy,
right.
Yeah. But a lot of what you were just saying, Andrew, is kind of music to a lot of marketing and advertising folks' ears, because it's, their access to first-party data is getting thinner and thinner, right? And being able to create that digital, fingerprint for that individual user is really important. As long as it's safe and secure, which it sounds like it is, it's wildly important, and it's disappearing for a lot of them. So that is, to me, one of those kind of like North Stars for a lot of advertisers and marketers. Now, talking about Discord, that was cool. So you have like, you can send scripts to, through tokens, have bots read them, identify you, and now you're part of a Cultos or a brand Discord channel, right? So now talk to us a little bit about how that works and how you aggregate and, push forward, social or community, I should say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Discord is such a powerful tool for community building, and brands are seeing this more and more because it can offer an element of exclusivity, right? Especially if it's token gated or paywalled, in some sense, to only allow a select tier of customers to be able to access it, and in turn be able to access exclusive announcements, rewards that are posted within that group, and then building the community. At the moment, what we currently offer is a Discord bot that can identify certain actions that users in our group perform. This is kind of our way of almost beta testing the Discord integration. And if they do them, whether it's creating, a meme or, inviting others to the channel or promoting something, which is, obviously a key thing for any brand in terms of creating referrals, we can identify those actions and we can reward them with Cultos coin. At the time of the IEO, all those coins will be distributed out, and people can do whatever they want with them. But in the future, what we plan to add is the ability for brands to either spin up a Discord group, or if they have a pre-existing one, use a extended version of that bot that we're working on to gate certain channels, for example, and link back how you get over that gate or get access to that group to the amount of brand tokens you've accumulated through various things. Maybe it's buying products, maybe it's promoting on social media, maybe it's performing some activity in a metaverse game like Roblox, whatever the brand wants the user to do. And then that brings them into that community where they can engage them directly in a way that resonates maybe with a younger demographic, if that's what they're trying to go for, like Gen Z, for example.
Yeah, so I love that. And we've been figuring out how to open doors and release content, what's right for what audiences, and you're gamifying it, which is really cool, and allowing people to become part of the community, but also become rewarded for it, and kind of extend the purchasing power actually of that young person or whoever that the demographic is. Really, really cool. Very cool.
I'm curious about something because you mentioned a lot of different integration, right? Like Shopify integration. Obviously there's Discord. There's so many different ways. How much technical know-how does a brand need, and how much technical know-how, or I guess how comfortable are customers as they onboard from a Web 2 into Web 3 world?
So we want to minimize the amount of technical know-how as much as possible, because the more there is, the less adoption there's ultimately going to be, right? So our strategy is take the kind of infrastructure of Web3 and embed that into Web2 as much as possible. So, for embedding a token loyalty program into your e-commerce site, instead of just kind of leaving to them to set all that up, give them a widget. That's typically how brands will embed new products into their e-commerce site, right? They'll install a widget, and there's gigantic marketplace on Shopify to do that. That's the type of behavior they're used to. So that's one example. For Discord, what we're looking to do with our product roadmap is similarly make that as seamless as possible as well. Create more automated ways for them to launch the community. It's simple enough for them to embed a Discord bot, so that's pretty straightforward. Brands have low familiarity, I would say, on average, in terms of how to do that, but that's in our product roadmap. So generally speaking, we're also looking at other widely used platforms and tools that brands are already using right now to engage their customers, like Salesforce Commerce Cloud, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, and similarly building integrations with those as well. So the amount of thought that a customer has to put into launching with us or launching with a Web3 program is as minimal as possible. And of course, with what we have right now, if you're on Shopify, you don't have to worry about consumers bringing their own wallet, like a MetaMask wallet. We provide custodian wallets. You don't have to worry about smart contracts or launching your own token or integrating with a KYC partner. We've done all of that with our integration with Uphold, for example. So we're really trying just to make sure that what we offer bridges between Web3 to Web2 as much as possible already, because otherwise I think the probability of getting mass adoption is pretty low.
Yeah, we find in our discussions and everything we do here is the onboarding process usually has a major hiccup with wallets and transferring tokens and all that. How are you making it easier for people? How are you really like? Because I've been doing this for a long time. Matt's been doing this for a long time, and I still have to kind of check my notes, make sure things are going in the right direction.
Yeah,
it's challenging.
Make sure you get your seed phrase and everything.
Yeah, and even for the younger demographics, are the actual parents doing that work with the wallets, or are kids flipping and trading?
yeah, for sure. So, I mean, with us, what we provide is a custodian wallet, right? So you actually don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You just create an account, so email, password, two-factor authentication, and that's it. You're done. We're integrated with the partner Bentley, and so we'll spin up a Polygon wallet for every consumer that creates an account. And as far as the consumer is concerned, they just see a number. They just see I have X Brat coins, or I have all these rewards kind of in my profile. These rewards may or not be digital collectibles or NFTs, and that's it. If they want to transfer it out, they can transfer it to an external wallet, and people who are already in the crypto or Web3 community will have that, know how to do that. But otherwise, they don't need to. Everything they need to do is very user friendly. It's designed for someone who has little to no familiarity with how to navigate tools like MetaMask. They just have to create an account the same way they would for any other kind of Web2 service. And similarly, cashing out is a very easy step as well, thanks to how robust Uphold is in terms of what they offer people who use their process to trade, convert, or liquidate tokens. So making it as easy as possible for a non-crypto person to use is kind of a key focus of ours.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, we were finding the whole email tokens to people is the easiest way, actually. We're just airdropping in that way.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, it does seem like creating that frictionless experience is so vital. Just jumping back a little bit, I'm curious, we talked earlier, you have some really interesting brands you partnered with. Can we do just a mini insight into, like, say, Bratz, for example? Like, what was the onboarding process? How does the token work today, and how is that loyalty program going, for example, if we just took one of those brands or a different one as an example?
Yeah, for sure. So with Bratz, the parent company is MGA Entertainment. The product line they're starting with is actually LOL Surprise, which I think is their best-selling product line right now. So it's going through a process of internal beta testing, and the results from that are extremely positive. The launch date will be in Q1 of next year when it actually goes live, and that will include collaborations with some well-known influencers with a complimentary following who do a lot of streaming on Roblox, for example, to kind of give a hint to future rewards that will be integrated in there. But in terms of the onboarding process, I wish I could send you guys a demo. As soon as the launches, I'll send you a link to the app in the App Store. It'll be on iOS in the beginning, but it's pretty straightforward. You create an account. There's a series of consents that you have to give as a parent. Create a profile for your kid within the same app, and then you create a series of different chores for them to do. You can do it through voice. You can do it through text. There's a bunch of kind of fun icons and animations, and then you decide how many tokens the kid gets for each of those chores. And then when the kid, goes to their parent and says, "I've done them," you mark it as complete. The kid gets the token in their account, and then the kid can just go into the mobile game and go to the catalog page and start picking the products they want, and fulfillment's integrated on the back end. So making it as straightforward and easy as possible.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, teasing that out, I think we'll have to do a future episode where we do a live demo for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, we like to do that, and people, what we've been learning is, show through, use cases, and people love to see that. And it's once they see that it's really easy and seamless, they're like, "Yep, that's a cool thing. I'm going to jump on it. I'm going to try it." And everyone's in try mode, so it's good. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
And we would love to do that for ourselves. And I have kids, and who knows? This could be a really good solution for my home.
Bribery for good behavior. Nothing's more effective than that. So let's do it.
Exactly. It's like Chore Monster on steroids. Very cool. And Andrew, So you've kind of unpacked a lot of really cool features that this can do, both from a vendor side to the user side. Where do you see Cultos going in the next couple of years? I know it's hard because everything runs at light speed, but features, functionality, relationships or partnerships. Where do you see it going?
For sure. So I would love to see the exchange that we're launching kind of be have as many partner connections as possible to give consumers as much freedom as they could possibly need to off ramp from one rewards program to another. Think of it as like a Web3 Blackhawk network, if you will. That's kind of one vision that we want to make a reality in the next couple of years. And of course, the Cultos coin kind of being the reserve currency that underpins and powers all of this as being the means of exchange, the transfer from one brand token to another, which is kind of, the incentive for people to get into the Cultos coin ecosystem and benefit from that as the ecosystem grows. At an app level, I think, one major strategic focus of ours is going to be building out partnerships and, affiliate partners as widely as we can within this kid space, especially with the adjacency to incredibly popular platforms like Roblox, which I think go hand in hand with what we're offering, and just building out a massive ecosystem there. I'd say that's the primary focus that we're looking for over the next 2 years. And of course, luckily for us, we've closed our last funding round in June of this year. Closed, I believe, 8.5 million. And so luckily, I also see us surviving this crypto winter brought on by several different factors, not to say the least, FTX and all of that, which luckily we had no exposure to. So yeah.
Yeah, bundle up. We're all going to be a little chilly this winter, crypto kids. But it's okay. The whole idea of this podcast is to meet folks like you, founders, innovators, who are pushing ahead, not to go into the FTX discussion, which would be a rabbit hole, but everyone is focusing on that. But you have to realize there are so many talented people pushing ahead. They have North Stars. They understand why they're doing this and the purpose that they have. So it's refreshing to see folks like you, keep going ahead and not getting rattled by this, And I think it's really interesting and I think really smart to focus on a niche into the kids' world. When I was at Nickelodeon, if you're not careful, you're in that world forever. You know what I mean? I migrated out because of different interests in technology and business and whatnot. But it is a really good niche to focus on, because if you really get the details right, it could be just a blockbuster. And especially because you're tying in gamification in the social world or the community world, tokenization, obviously rewards, but there's also games attached to it and multiple brands attached to it in a safe environment. If you do that, it's kind of the holy grail. And then each child, and what we used to say at MTV Networks was cradle to grave, right?
Yeah.
So you'd start them with Nick Jr., and they would end with MTV. Right. That's the life cycle. So I could see you guys kind of adopting that, where it's like a young person jumps on with their parents together, starts a wallet, starts collecting, playing, trading, and then they move to the next brand. So that might be interesting for you to look at. What are the complementary life cycle brands for within the cultist world that can play well together?
Absolutely. I think that's really key and kind of strategic insight. We see the wallet as being something that is going to replace cookies, because it actually has the consent of the consumer. They're being fairly compensated for giving the brand or brands on the other end their first party data, right? And it's like you mentioned, something that especially if we're starting in the kid space, will follow the consumer across the entire life cycle, literally cradle to grave. So in the beginning, it'll be games that fit with the demographic when they first kind of entered the ecosystem and got their wallet. Purchases, the same nature too, whether it's through our mobile game, whether it's through e-commerce purchases, whether it's purchases of avatars and items on metaverse games like Roblox, and then that opens up the door to a lot of I think really exciting partnerships that just make a lot of sense with brands at the next stage once they get a little bit older, right? Whether that's certain apparel companies, cosmetic companies, whatever. And this wallet will follow them throughout their entire lives, accumulating all kinds of interesting data that it is difficult for brands to kind of aggregate with one consumer profile right now, especially with consent, gaming, commerce, social media, all of that. So the wallet being something that maybe we can offer is almost an SSO in the future. That's kind of a key strategy too that fits with everything else that we're doing.
Fantastic.
When you're creating Cultos, when you rewind, was the focus on kids and Gen Z intentional, or did it just kind of happen? Like, did you just kind of stumble on the fact that this is where you needed to focus?
I would say both. So our attention was brought to the space through a brand, the toy company that focuses on Gen Z and Gen Alpha. So in that sense, it just kind of happened. On the other hand, working with them made us intimately familiar with the fact that this type of gamified, fairly compensating experience for rewards is kind of the only thing that's going to work with them as well. So it fits with the demographic, and if you want to engage consumers in the future, your loyalty program is going to have to function like this. And so it kind of opened our eyes to that fact as well, which made us double down and focus on that demographic instead of treating it as a niche use case.
Mm. Yeah, I think you've got actually a tremendous runway with this demographic. I think there's you're only going to be limited by your imagination with a lot of these things. I think the key thing, and we always, because I come from a branding world too, is maintaining your brand integrity and making sure that people have control over their data and what is released. They have control over their tokens. The tokens are pegged properly, or monetized or tokenized properly. People are not losing things, because it is kind of fragile right now. Everything, and not just you guys, just everything is fragile. And now you're actually going on a thinner rope and talking to even more fragile demographics, which is awesome. We applaud you for that. But it takes an extra sharp eye to make sure that everything is buttoned up and nothing unravels for you guys. So super important to just keep the security in mind, and maintain that. As soon as you get a track record with 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 100 brands, you're off to the races.
For sure.
Then you become known as that brand where it's very, very secure to kind of build and play on.
Definitely, and there's a lot of cautionary tales without going into specifics in the headlines right now. What happens if you let that unravel and you don't keep an eye on it, for sure.
Oh yes. But yeah, especially around kids and whatnot. So,
definitely,
absolutely.
As brands keep onboarding, how much do you want Cultos to be the focal point, and how much is it the brand? Like, how are you balancing the two? Is Cultos something where you want people to really be aware of Cultos, or does it kind of disappear into the background on any given brand experience?
It's definitely a tough balance. Right now, it's a very white labeled experience as much as we can for each brand, because that's what brands expect, and it makes complete sense. Eventually, what we aim to do is have Cultos be available to consumers when they choose to take their brand tokens from one brand and turn it into something else, right? That's where they enter the kind of Cultos ecosystem, specifically through the exchange we're going to launch, and that's where they really become aware of Cultos as an entity and an ecosystem beyond the brand that they were originally exposed to, because that's where they can convert Nike tokens into Adidas tokens, or Bratz tokens into potentially Robux in the future. And that's kind of our strategy, to make sure they're aware of us, but at the same time kind of accommodating for how white label brands want the consumer's experience to be when their customers land on their e-commerce page.
Fantastic. Also curious, when you're talking to these different brands right now, with all the recent news and craziness we've seen in the space. What's the sentiment you're getting? I mean, this is some real utility for them. Are you seeing brands becoming a little more skittish, or are they gung-ho, full speed ahead? What's your take on that?
So the brands that already had a strategy for Web3, gamification, tokenized rewards, all that kind of stuff, nothing's changed for them. For brands that were maybe just reaching out to us cold, and on the first thing they'd say when we have a discussion with them is, how do I make a few $1 million from NFTs? Those are absolutely gone, right? So I think that's the biggest change that we've seen, and kind of makes sense given the developments of the past year.
And when they come in cold, right? Like, wow, I heard about Cultos. This is really cool. We want to learn more. Obviously, a lot of these brands are kind of just dipping their toes into this world. Does Cultus actually, back them up and say, all right, let's start with a really smart strategy? And do you take them through a strategic workshops and document their strategies moving forward, both in the Cultus universe and perhaps beyond?
We definitely, have a couple sessions with them to identify what their goals are. Are there specific campaigns you want to run? Is your goal referrals, retention, just first party data? What is it that you're trying to do? We have some sessions to kind of identify that. For the most part, we try to make the initial launch plan as simple as possible. Like, let's just get the widget installed on your site. Let's decide the name of your token. Let's determine what the initial reward should be and what the campaigns are, and just kind of start with that. So just trying to make it as easy, simple as possible, so that they can quickly decide, is this for us? Is this working? Without making it too complicated all at once.
Yeah, get them into the system and then start introducing them to new features and functionality that they can start using. Because again, a lot of folks that we talk to, a lot of people in our audience are like, okay, that's cool, I can get started really quickly, but there's another side. There's the care and feeding to communities. Do you find that they get started very quickly with Cultus and the product and the environment, but then they're like, oh my gosh, I need actually 2 other employees to help manage communities, to spin up unique and different campaigns? Perhaps there's different skill sets needed. Are you seeing that behind the scenes?
For sure, yeah. The long tail of rewards is always kind of a concern. What we offer is we have an in-house team of people with deep community management experience, and we kind of just offer them as a customer success team to help make launches successful. But certainly for brands that haven't launched any kind of loyalty program before, that's a key consideration and challenge for them, right? Luckily, with larger brands like MGA, for example, they're kind of used to be, and they're both used to and have the resources to create sustained rewards or different things that a customer can use their tokens on to sustain their interest. But beyond that, one of our kind of key objectives is just adding in our own features around gamification into the products that we're launching as much as possible to keep people's interest.
Great.
And we may have brushed on this earlier, but what are the key revenue streams for Cultos? Like, how do you maintain profitability with this?
For sure. So we charge kind of like a Stripe or transaction fee for swaps, conversions, purchases of the brand's tokens. You can kind of think of it as a parallel to someone buying like airline miles, for example. Like, we get a transaction fee from that. The brand gets a transaction fee. If you took tokens from one brand and turn it into another, there's a transaction fee for that swap, and a percentage of those fees are used to or will be used to purchase Cultus coin from the open market to kind of make the tokenomics attractive to those who want to support the ecosystem. So generally speaking, you can think of it as kind of an exchange model, which kind of grows in network effects as we add more and more partners to the ecosystem, and they bring their consumers, which creates the volume of people acquiring, earning tokens in various ways and using them.
Cool, I love it. So I guess as we sort of wrap up, I want to get a few of your thoughts. We're seeing so many new companies getting into Web3, everything from Starbucks, Odyssey, Nike, etc. What do you think are the key factors that will make certain projects succeed and or fail?
Ease of use is probably number one. So kind of all those elements we talked about. And I think secondly, it's going to be real utility for whatever, the consumers can use these digital collectibles and rewards on. And I think this might be, biased towards us, but I really think it's a kind of a core Web3 value proposition. Freedom in terms of, as a consumer, in terms of where and how I can use these rewards as well, beyond, the confines of one specific brand or one specific entry point. I think that's really important. And if you don't have that, that can kind of stifle a lot of the incentives which Web3 is able to provide, which ultimately, if you leave it open and able to work the way it's supposed to, will give both brands and consumers what they want. So I think those are the key points to make it successful.
Flexibility, I think, is key. Flexibility to, go across brands, as you're saying, and share and flip and swap, but also the flexibility to opt out. People forget about that. You don't want that, but you can't make it difficult. I mean, try and quit a social media network these days, right? And it's like, oh my gosh,
people think you disappeared.
Did they really delete my data? Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
they don't delete your data. Even Discord is a whole different discussion with how they handle things. But
right.
It's very important. Flexibility is king. So awesome.
Absolutely.
That's great.
All right, so I guess as we wrap up, Andrew, what would you say for people would be like, if you give them two key takeaways, what would those be as they think loyalty programs, as they think about Cultos, as they think about entering Web3 themselves?
For sure. So I would say fair compensation is the biggest consideration,
Mm-hmm.
Aligning incentives between the consumers and the brand and the overall community, which is kind of the encapsulation of both. That's the most key thing. And it's the future of first party data, right? Like that's the way we view it. So the wallet will replace the cookie as the means to track fairly and with the consumer's consent their activity over their life cycle from cradle to grave. And it's coming. So that's what I would say are kind of the key takeaways.
Awesome. Yeah, we definitely would love to do a little bit more exploration with you, Andrew, in regards to kind of the tokenomics of this, but also the idea of the social aspect of it and the connective tissue of everything. So we definitely want to open up some more conversations. We definitely some rabbit holes to go down. And there's more to explore, right? Just in and out of Cultos in this world. So we thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And let me just say, to anyone, and yourselves included, who wants to kind of learn more about the Cultos ecosystem, I mentioned we're planning our IEO for Q1 of next year. So if anyone wants to learn more, go to cultos.io. There's a link to our Discord group. You can earn Cultos coin, from that Discord bot I mentioned in there right now. We also have a Cultos coin community on Reddit. And there's also, of course, Twitter for anyone who wants to follow us and stay up to date on everything that we're doing. So, if any of your listeners are interested, that's the place to reach us. But beyond that, really appreciate you guys having me on. It was great.
Yeah, we'll be sure to include those links. And thank you again, Andrew. Appreciate it.